Hey guys, well it is a Sunday afternoon and I decided I'm making apple pie. We're going to have an experiment. You've seen me slice apples. You don't need to see me do that. And I've got sliced apples over here. Let me tell you, you know I'm a harebrain. You know that. So Margie and I are chit-chatting the other day and I have this container that says, you all seen this, sugar. And I had a bag of flour. And Margie says, why are you putting flour in your sugar thing? This thing was about a third full of sugar and I started dumping a 5-pound bag of flour in it. So I got as much flour out as I could and then I just shook it up. And we all know you use flour and sugar in apple pie and any of that stuff. So when I make apple pie, I measure precisely. We all know that, right? So what I'm going to do, I don't know what the ratio is here. I have no idea. But I got my apple sliced up here and I'm just going to take a spoon and you can watch what I do. Who knows what we're going to get? And something else I'm going to do, I have a few dehydrated apples I'm going to add. Let me move. All right, guys, I've sliced up these apples with my slicer thing. And yeah, I know they're turning brown. I didn't get sugar on them, but you know what? They'll taste just as good. I have a tray here that was supposed to be my carameled apples, but they didn't caramel long enough. So I'm going to add those, and Margie just stole one, which is perfectly fine. But I didn't let them caramel enough, and I need to get another batch of those going. But I need to make a trip to the orchard. So I'm going to put these dehydrated apples in here. And then I'm going to take some of this flour sugar mixture in that precise measurement. Did you all write that down? And I'm going to kind of just coat all the apple slices with this. And the sugar should bring the natural juices out of the apples because I'm going to let them set while I make my pie crust. And this is where we're going to do another little experiment. Oh, and I've decided I'm going to use my homemade pumpkin pie spice in the apples because it's the same spice as you use anyway. Okay, I've got my apple pie spice mix. Or pumpkin pie spice mix. One of these days I'll show you how I make it. So, you know, you can get too many spices in this. What my plan is, I'm going to make a 10-inch pie. I didn't use quite a teaspoon of that. Looked like more than I wanted. I'm going to make a 10-inch pie. If I have too many apples, then I'll go ahead and make a small apple crisp. We're just going to have to see. But I'm going to get this all coated. I'm going to let it set. And then we're going to make the crust. You've seen me make a crust before, but we're going to try something new. Be back. Well, guys, I think it's been 2 hours now. I'm waiting for the lard and butter to get a little hard, but I'll explain that. So you've seen me make a pie crust before, no big deal. So I'm going to use a couple cups of white flour. And a couple cups of whole wheat flour. And if you watched Margie's RV Ashes in April, her video on making pizza, this is some of that flour she helped me. The wheat we cleaned and made our flour that day. So then I'm going to add, let's put a heaping teaspoon of salt in that. But now here's something, a little experiment we're going to try. Remember the apple powder we made the other day? It is full to the brim, so it's going to fall out. But I want to try putting apple powder in the crust and just see what that does. So that was a heaping tablespoon. So we'll call it 3 tablespoons. How's that? Write that down. All right. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to whisk it all together really well. Get it all well incorporated. And golly, it takes about 1 1/3 cups of lard. I don't want to use all my good lard. So I'm also using a little bit of butter. I'm down to maybe a 1/2 quart of lard. That makes me really sad. I gotta go find somebody butchering and see if I can get the lard. All right, I got this all whisked up together, and I've had my lard and my butter in the freezer, making it hard because that's part of the trick to having a flaky crust, is make sure you cut that in there. And it took me a long, I mean, I don't make the best crust, I'm not saying that, but it took me a long time to learn that you don't want to overwork your crust. Okay, I've got the lard and the butter in there. I use a pastry blender thing. Some people use their finger, some people use a fork. But I've got this very firm lard and butter, and I'm going to keep cutting it in with this. You want to make it to where it's just kind of crumbly looking. Okay guys, this is what I come up with. Now, I want you to know I am no professional pie maker, and so this may turn out the biggest flop ever. So once you get it to this stage, I've got a cup here of water with some ice in it. And you gradually start adding ice water, because it's important that your butter or the fat, whatever you use in your pie crust, is still in small pieces. Or that's what they tell me anyway. So, and you don't want to add too much water by any means. I'm going to go get a fork. Hey guys, I'm getting close, but it's still a little crumbly. So I'm just going to add 1 more tablespoon and mix it in slowly and see what I got. What I've done here is, I'm actually beginning to think I got too much water in it. But I've formed 2 dough balls, because with my apple pie, I'll have a top to it. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. Y'all know I'm not fancy. And what you should do is wrap these up and let them chill for about an hour. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to get things ready to go, and I'm going to roll them out. All right, guys, so I floured my countertop. And I didn't get my pastry cloth out. I may regret it. And I did cheat and taste the dough. I should have added that whole jar of apple powder. I can't really taste it in there. Oh well. So, see how it's got little, let me move you closer, little bits of butter that you can still see? That's what you want. That's what'll make a flaky crust. Okay, I got it rolled out, set my pie plate on it, see if it was big enough. Now we'll see how many pieces it falls apart into, like that one right there. How many times my pie crust falls apart as I'm getting ready to roll it into my pie plate. So, I'm going to fit this in here. Guys, I think we're going to have fried pie because my butter pieces are too big. You're going to be jealous. I made fried pie and didn't mean to. I'll go around the edge. Okay. Ooh, we're going to have pie crust cookies. And let's see how our apples turned out here. You know what, guys? It smells really good. That pumpkin pie spice stuff really does give it a different taste, different flavor. And I'm going to go ahead and use all of this up. And of course I tasted a bit, you know that. And it was just the right sweetness. Now we'll have to see if it's going to be just the right amount of flour. And we'll see if we end up with apple pie soup or just perfect apple pie. It's always a mystery here. Okay, I'm going to get the top rolled out. I'll be back. All right, guys, all I did was roll it out, set it on the top, and I'm just going to kind of trim it evenly around the edge. And no, I am not doing anything fancy. Margie asked me, are you going to make the crisscross? No, I'm not. And I'm not even going to cut out little apples and put on top. Y'all know me, I'm kind of boring. But I'm going to get this cut out and I'll show you how I flute the edges, but nothing fancy. Oh, I went around and poked holes so it could vent, the steam could vent out. Again, I do nothing fancy. I tuck the top crust underneath the bottom crust all the way around the edge. And then I just take just kind of pinch it. And that's how I flute my edges. And I know some people take a fork, whatever, and that's how they do it. But just pinch it like that. Tuck the top crust into the bottom and go all the way around. Guys, I'm going to pop in here before the pie is done. You know why you make extra pie dough? Pie crust cookies. Now normally I put cinnamon and sugar on them, and I'm going to do that, but I think I'm going to add some of that apple powder and see if what that does. I do see bits and pieces of the apple peeling in here, but and when I took it, when I tasted the pie dough earlier, I couldn't taste the apple powder, but I took another bite, of course, and I could taste it a little bit more. So we'll see what it tastes like when it bakes. So I'm going to get my pie crust cookies going, and Margie and I'll hide them from the guys, and we'll have a pie crust party in here. Okay, guys, there's the finished product. Thought I better get a picture real quick before it disappeared. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for joining me. We'll see what else we can do.